Wow. Yeah, we were just booted off the line, but we are back live right now. I think. Okay. Yeah, we are back live right now. So I apologize, y'all. We were reviewing a couple of Van's videos that he been a part of, and some of his friends' videos like Spike Lee. So we played a couple of their videos too. Something was said that somebody didn't like it and reported our video. It was taken down, but don't worry about it. This is part two. To keep this thing going. And I got Van coming back. Yo, listen, I want you guys to take advantage of this information for real. You got to take advantage. If you guys got kids that want to be writers, director, producers, and they want to be a part of, they want to create something, and they don't know where to start. Start from the beginning, like Van did. Start from the beginning. The opportunity will come if you really put in that work. Sorry, Van, that we was kicked off, man. They say with the language, but wasn't no bad language. What's no bad language used? I've been getting kicked offline. People have been reporting us. We don't do nothing but talk about good stuff all day.
Talk about good and bad hair. Go on and swear. See if
So,
I care. Good and bad hair.
yeah, man, they mad about that. That's crazy. I don't know who will report something like that, but hopefully, they look at it, see that
Well,
everything.
they should go back and watch School Days, and then they'll have
Yeah,
the context and
yeah.
understand what we're talking about.
Is it kind of different nowadays because everything's so sensitive now? Like you can't really talk about it. Like you know what I mean?
Well, you have to realize you have people who don't want to teach American history, which is us. They want to ban books.
Mm,
They don't want us to get into, to have any kind of affirmative action to rectify past problems,
right.
and it's this is not by accident. It's by design that they're targeting education, they're targeting books, they're targeting free speech. Uh, they don't want people to be able to form an argument or form, to point out the contradictions of how American society is supposed to be.
Yeah. And man, that's sad, man. 'Cause this conversation was just going so good. But in Minnesota right now, there's a lot of creative people.
A lot.
Um, and they wanna know when to start. It's the money. They don't got enough money to do it, or they don't have the equipment to do it. Um, let's talk about that for a little bit. Like, if somebody
Hmm.
come to you, like when I came to you, I didn't have nothing, and I had a big backing though. You know what I mean? Like I had the Ujama program. I had a lot of people in the community that was rooting for me. They liked what I was doing. And so I had a little leeway. I had you. I could call you and be like, hey, how you like this? And and you know what? You'd be so straightforward too. Hey, let me just stop real quick, y'all. Let me
I
tell
don't mean
you.
to crush your dreams, but it doesn't do us any good if we're not applying,
Yeah,
for every, if you drive a car, you have to start the car, you got to have
yeah,
gas in the car, you got to have oil in the car, and these are the basic kind of rules of the road things. And it's the same thing with filmmaking. It's the same thing with anything. If you're a teacher, you have to know your subject matter. You have to
yeah,
you have to study. You have to, and because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create something that you haven't done before.
right.
So it's good to have someone that can kind of guide you and say, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? I liked what you said though about, how do you get started? I think that's
Yeah.
a
So
really
how we get
that's a really good
started.
question.
Yeah, so if there are people that's watching right now. You guys want to know how to get started or where to
Hmm.
start? Go ahead, man. Let them know like what's some things they could do to get them on the path
I
to their
always
dream.
say, and this is what I told you back then: start with what you know. If it's a story, you don't need to make up, you know things about extraterrestrials or aliens or anything like that. Just start with what you know. If you have a funny family member, you know, you know, talk about the funny family member. If you have, someone that's mean to you, or if there's something that you're challenged by, talk about those things and create a story about that. Now, a good story needs three things minimum. It needs three basic things. It needs a beginning, it needs a middle, and it needs an end. This is writing 101. Beginning, middle, and end. In screenwriting, there's certain rules of the road. You need to, in the early part of your beginning, you need to find out what your main characters want. They've got to have a want. And then you've got to, in that beginning part, you have to make sure it's really clear what it is that the main character wants. The next thing you have to do in the middle and going forward, you need a series of complications. So if your character wants this one thing, you've got to create some obstacles, and they either have to be physical obstacles, they have to get from, Minnesota to the Grand Canyon or something. Yeah. So there's physical space there. Or, also important are the internal emotional obstacles, the psychological obstacles, the obstacles in our mind, in our brain that prevents us and stops us and challenges us. Am I rich enough? Am I smart enough? Do I have the right connections? All of those questions, affect your character in how that character is either going to succeed in getting his or her want at the end of the story, or not, or is going to thwart them, and you'll either have that character will either get what he wants, but sometimes at the end of the story, even if that character gets what he wants or she wants, it may not really be the best thing for them to do that, to accomplish that goal. So the first thing is the beginning. That's what does your character want? Second thing, the middle of the story, the complications, and then you also need an ending. What after that main character goes through all those obstacles, at the very end, how does this story turn out? Does he get his goal, make his goal? Does she not get her goal? And then all you have to do is just put twists and turns in the story to keep it interesting.
Hey, Van, you know what's so amazing, man? When I met you, you told me this. This is our conversation, and I'm just want to let you guys know. Please take advantage of the information. His story alone is just motivating to be like, you know what, I want to do this, and he worked hard to do it. He ended up meeting Spike Lee, and man, come on, man, that's one of the greatest. Like, come on. So take the information that's used. When he told me this, I called him. And he invited me to a New Year's party. I was happy. So to be mentored by somebody like this, he didn't know me. He liked my energy. He was like, you know what, I like your energy. He even took me out to eat. I'm gonna take you out to eat. I'm gonna give you the game. He said that
over St. Paul, yeah.
Yeah. He told me the same thing that he's telling you guys right now. This is what he told me, and I used it. And I called him one day, and this is why you need a mentor. You need somebody. Shout out to Ann Pritchard too. She's in the building. You need somebody who will tell you like, no, don't do that. Do something else. Because I called Van. I was so happy he was out of town. Matter of fact, he was doing this movie right here. Check this out, y'all. He was on his way to go do this movie right here. So you just don't know how excited I was to be on the phone with him. He was like, I'm going out of town. I'm about to go do this right here. When I get back, I'm going to call you. I want to hear what you got to say. Man, what? I was writing like crazy. I said, man, wait till he call. He called my phone. Like, all right, give it to me. What you got? I told him, I said, yeah, man, this movie right here starts out like this. He said, hey, stop. Oh, what that got to do with today? I said, what do you mean? He like, I mean, how would the people today react? Or that, like, what they got to do? Like, what films are out right now pushing that. I said, there ain't no film like that. He was like, yeah, don't do that one. Scratch that. Scratch that to the time. Don't throw it away, but just keep it for later. We don't need that
Put that
now.
one in the drawer.
Is that all you got? I said, yeah, that's about it right now.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's about it right
Yeah.
now.
And see, these are the things that sometimes stop us because, if you look at that, she's got to have it model. 12 days of shooting. They did it with a very tiny film crew, very
Yeah.
small. Not a lot of actors, and there's only 3 or 4 locations in that whole movie. If you think
Right.
about it, it opens up on the Fulton Street Mall that they had no permits for to shoot there. Then most of it's in the apartment with Nola Darling, and then there's a little park scene where he takes her to the park. Jamie takes her to the park for a birthday date, and that's basically the entire location list for the movie. And the reason now, it wasn't because Spike didn't feel that he could do other, he'd like to do more places, but you got to think about it. Every time you move locations, all of that gear, the camera equipment, the lights, whatever else, you got to get the actors there. They got to have some place, to hold. You got to have a room for them or some kind of place to keep them, so where they are and stuff. But that creates complications and costs. The more locations you add, they might charge you a location fee. You might need to pay a permit fee and all this other stuff. So Spike came up with this term, guerrilla filmmaking, where if you can keep the locations to a minimum, the actors, the number of actors to a minimum, it's really 4 actors in that movie. It's Spike, his character Mars, it's Nola Darling, it's Greer Childs, the handsome model dude, and it's Jamie. And then they have a couple of, they have a handful of other people that are commenting on the movie that have those little cameos. But that's it. 4 actors, 3 locations, 12 days of shooting. That's the kind of movie you want to start with. It doesn't have to be those same exact locations, the same number of actors, but what's controllable are because if you don't have a lot of money to do this, right now you literally, you say, okay, I don't have the camera equipment. Here's the camera equipment right now.
Talk about it.
This is the camera equipment. It's that button that says camera right there. That's the camera equipment. You need lights? Okay, here, we got a light here on here. Here's a light. Right here, flashlight.
Yeah,
There you go. There's your lighting.
Right.
It can be as simple as that. But you've got to have the right story. That's the thing that's going to separate you from everybody else out there trying to make a movie. And you've got to know some of these story rules. I put in the chat there a very foundational book called Screenplay, and it's written by an author named Sid Field, and you can get it in paperback. It's like $15. You can get copies of it used for like $12, $5 if you go online. Just don't go online tomorrow. No shopping tomorrow. Reserve the boycott. But this is a book that will take you deeper into that process of the story format, the base, and they call it the basic screenplay structure, but they call it the 3-act structure. But what they mean by that, to simplify it, it's a beginning, it's a middle, it's an end, and how do you get from A to B and tell your story and keep the story interesting. And like I said, your stories can come from any part of your personal experience. If a bully, confronts you or something at school, that's a great setup for a story. How many movies have been done like that? So that's the basic premise. And then you want to overcome this bully, and you use your own experience on how you did that. Did you beat him up eventually? Did you lift weights? What do you do to overcome these stories? Because that's what's going to make your story unique and special and powerful and authentic, because you want to write what's real. You don't want to insult the audience's knowledge,
Yeah.
because we've all seen movies. That
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
happen, or
We seen it coming. We seen that coming.
we've seen it coming.
Hey,
So the
you said
more
Ben.
you can disguise them from guessing what it is,
The more they're gonna
the
watch, they're gonna
better.
be interested.
The
Yeah.
better.
And shout out to Ann Pritchard. When I did the 48-hour film festival, I did a film with no the main character didn't talk and you couldn't see who he was. Everybody was interacting with him. And Ann Pritchard was like, you know what, you surprised me the whole film because they thought it was one thing and it turned out to be another. But Ben, you said something else to me that I never forget. You said you could take a good script. You could take a good script and make a bad movie, but you can't take a bad movie and make a good script. And when you said that,
Yep.
it stuck to me. It always stuck to me.
Yeah, you can never get a great movie out of a bad script. And you can mess up a good script, but you can never do it the other way. You can never end up with a great movie starting with a bad script.
Yeah, in fact, when you told me that, I was like, man, it just stuck with me. And then hearing you repeat it again, you guys, this is exactly the same conversation that me and him had. So he's not favoring me, man. He wanted everybody to do good. He wanted everybody to bring something. I want to introduce you to somebody that's on the screen. This is my cousin, man, and we lived together for years. I love him to death. He broke out and started his own filming thing. And Van, this is my cousin Keenan. Keenan, this is Van. Keenan, unmute your mic, man. Say hi. It's unmuted.
How you
Keenan, how
doing,
you
sir?
doing? I'm doing
Man,
well.
I'm
How you
blessed.
doing, brother?
I'm blessed. I cannot complain. I was just listening to you drop jewels, and I have these same type of conversations with people, probably not as in depth as yours, but I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, in Atlanta, and Illinois, and I have a lot of people that want to produce films. So I have 7 films that I've completed that I've been in Walmart and been on Tubi and Amazon Prime, but I'm trying to get to the next level, to a larger distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's my first film. It's biographical. It's got a few million views on YouTube, things like that.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic.
But when you said the guerrilla filming and just getting out there and doing it, that's exactly how I've been doing it.
Yeah.
I spoke with Rob Hardy. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I spoke with him one day at Fisk University, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, I'm directing, I wrote the script, I'm starring in it, I'm doing the sound work, I'm editing, I'm doing everything. And like some people are telling me not to do that. And he said, man, keep doing it till you don't have to.
Stomp
do everything
the yard.
that you have to do. Right. Yes, sir. So I just want to say I appreciate you dropping the knowledge. And I'm definitely want to pick your brain and continue to, listen to you and, all of that stuff, because I mean, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So I'm glad I'm on here listening to you.
Well, you know what, Rob Hardy, Will Packer, Barry Jenkins, all Ryan Coogler, all these brothers, what they've done is they've taken this thing that Spike would always talk about. He would always say, he wanted to demystify the film industry and the film process. How do you make films? And because for 100 years, it's been kept like this quiet secret that only a few people can know about, because it's pretty dope when, if you can get out there and tell these stories and create art and create, commerce. You've got seven films, that you've done, and there's a market for these and people can find them, but you're sharing part of your human experience and you're telling these stories. Spike would also say, make black film by any means necessary. And what he meant by that was we have to be responsible for telling our own truths and our own stories. And if we don't do that, other people will come in that don't know our truths, won't tell the stories with dignity, won't treat the characters with any kind of responsibility. that's how, we had, a lot of exploitative situations in the industry, going back to Birth of a Nation, where you had basically the Ku Klux Klan. That film was basically a recruiting poster for the Klan, in the early 1900s, 1916, 1917. And that movie, preyed on stereotypes of the black brutish man who was only interested in attacking the white women, and the Southern gentleman had to stand up against this black mob of people. It was ridiculous, but it became propaganda because that was a movie that then President Wilson screened at the White House, and he embraced the film. And there were mobs and there were lynchings that took place outside some of these theaters that showed that movie, and it really was detrimental. And it took another 15, 20 years before we even had our first black filmmakers that were starting to make films to counter those portrayals and showed our talents and our expertise and our intelligence and stuff. So we have a responsibility to tell our own stories and tell our own truths.
Hey, Ben,
and then when I was on that same note, my first film, I didn't say any cuss words in it. I didn't use the N-word, none of that type of propaganda. I showed some situations that happened in the black experience, but the wording was not. And some people went through the whole movie and it was like, man, y'all didn't even cuss. Y'all didn't do that. And because I was able to show it, because it's called Nothing Without God, I was able to show it at churches and different places and use it as a curriculum for an alternative school that I used to work at, because I'm in the education field. And it was just like, wow, we don't have to use that. We don't have to be the stereotype that people are portraying against us, So yeah, it was very cool.
Thanks for touching on that too, you guys. I know this is Black History Month, and to have you on the show, man, we got to celebrate you. You know what I mean? Just for everything you've been through, your journey through your success of where you got. Because y'all don't understand, I was invited to his house. They had food laid out. The senator was there, a whole bunch of important people, and then it was me. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, I'm somebody now.
Well, let me let you know that process started, sleeping on a mattress on the floor in my sister's attic, walking, and I had to get up. I had to be out the door at 3:30 because I had a 20-minute walk to the ferry boat, and and that was at 3:30 in the morning to get the 4:00 ferry to get across the river to get to Lower Manhattan to get on the subway to go to Brooklyn Heights or Brooklyn or Harlem or wherever we were shooting. But I believed enough that if God put me in the position to have the opportunity to do it, I was going to give it my all. Right. And it was amazing. Just to finish that story, 7 weeks into 3 weeks into the movie, on Fridays, it would bring the accountants would come out from the office with the crew's checks, and they would hand out the checks on set. And of course, I wasn't being paid anything. I was, an unpaid intern working for free. And Spike was really aware of what was going on in his set. He knew, if someone was posted, a block, 2 blocks away, locking up the street and stuff, so people couldn't walk through into the shot. He knew who was doing what. And on one of those Fridays, on that payday, Spike came up to me and said, dapped me up, and he said, he did this. Don't say anything. Everybody ain't getting it. And he walked off. I opened my hand and there was $100 bill there. So
that's dope.
And
that's dope, man.
And that was another reminder that I'm on my path, and God's got me, and He's looking out for me. And I think if you can keep that the bigger picture in your mind when you're out there and you're standing in the rain and you don't, and they bring you a plate of food of something that you didn't want, and you're in your clothes, your feet are wet because you're standing in the rain. That's when you really gotta think, okay, I can do this for 10 weeks because I have my eyes on that prize. And I'm not in it for 10 weeks. I'm not in it for 6 months. I'm not in it for a year. I want to be a filmmaker for the rest of my life and have a career in it. And it's been now 35 years
That's amazing.
doing this stuff.
Yeah,
So
hey, Van, listen, that is amazing. And shout out to we got Lola in here. She said she's an up and coming film writer too. She says she's happy about it. And Preacher, she said yes, to get where you want to go, you have to give it your all. And that message right there you hit, man. I think that's put it icing on the cake. So let's get to some of your work. Um, what was the last thing you was working on? What was it? Fight Night?
yeah, we did Fight Night. We shot that last. I finished my episodes in March, so I did the pilot episode and episode 2. So the first 2 episodes, which includes the boxing match and everything. Yeah, let's watch this trailer and I'll give you a little more information. And this if you haven't seen this yet, it's on Peacock. All 8 episodes are on there. It's a great series. This is one of my scenes that I had to organize all this. All of those extras, that's the first assistant director's responsibility. That crowd scene, we had 400 extras every day for like 4 or 5 days. They had all be, dressed in period costumes. Their hair had to be right. They might have to put a wig on or put a hat on or something. But there's a bunch of planning that goes into getting those extras right. But when I read the script and I read the scenes of the script, I know I've got to deliver what's on the page, and I always want to take it a little bit further because I want to kind of go back and look at films from that era or boxing movies or something that's going to inform my understanding of what I have to deliver. So in the script it says, okay, Muhammad Ali comes out of the dressing room, he comes down the hallway, he's got his guys around him. So I got to have trainers. I've got to have the police. I've got to have security. I've got to have, reporters. I've got to have photographers, when he does that walk down the thing. And then when he comes into the big arena, see, there's his trainer there. That's Bundini Brown, behind them. That Don Cheadle plays the police officer who is charged with keeping Ali safe while he's in Atlanta for the fight. Chicken Man, yeah.
Is that when Ali would have to fight what's the guy? Sonny
Jerry Clooney.
Jerry Clooney. Okay, cool.
Yep, Jerry Clooney.
Hey, that's dope. I didn't know that. Yo, that is dope.
See, that was the first fight that Ali was allowed to fight after the Supreme Court cleared him.
Wow.
So he was banned from boxing. They stripped him of his title, and the only fight and the only place that would agree to sanction the fight was Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
So in the setup of the story, Kevin Hart plays a local numbers runner in Atlanta, but he's a low-level guy, but he has dreams of being a big player and a bigger fish in kind of his community in Atlanta. And so he gets this idea. He overhears a thing that there's some big mobsters coming in town. One of them is named Frank Moten, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes, he plays Frank Moten as the big Harlem underworld kingpin, and he's going to be there. And Chicken Man, Kevin Hart's character, wants to put on a Vegas-style event party for Frank Moten and his underworld friends that are going to come into town. And Terrence Howard is one of those guys. And there's a really great supporting cast. You saw Taraji Henson in there. And what was wonderful about that experience for me was, I had done the movie Hustle and Flow. I think we did that in about 2005, 2006. The director of Hustle and Flow did the 2 episodes that I worked on. He asked me to come aboard and do his episodes. So I got to do those first 2 episodes, and we had to set the look of the film in those first two episodes. And that's Hustle and Flow there. We shot that in Memphis, Tennessee. Whoop that chick, get him, whoop that chick, get him, whoop
Yes,
that chick.
sir.
That's a young Anthony Anderson. Yep. And we, just seeing these clips, it brings me right back to those experiences. And Memphis and Tennessee in July is very hot and sticky. I know Keenan's been in Nashville, so I know he's just down the road from Memphis. So he knows
Yes, sir.
that summer humidity and heat there in Memphis. And that whole time we were there, it was just sweaty and hot. And that's where we did that. And that was Craig Brewer's second movie. He'd done a low budget movie called The Poor and the Hungry before that. And John Singleton produced, Saw the Poor and the Hungry, which was his first film that he made off of $20,000 in inheritance money that he inherited when his father passed. And his wife, who had worked at a shake joint, she helped, also to pay for that first movie, The Poor and the Hungry. And Craig's a real special person. And I'm so honored that he brought me back to do Fight Night. Those 2 episodes.
I want to do something right now because I got my cousin Keenan on here, man. And
yes,
the way we grew up was kind of something serious, right? We both wanted to get away from our households because of what we were going through. I was raised around a lot of pimps and a lot of addicts, right? So
yep.
me and Keenan used to watch TV all day, and it's crazy
Absolutely.
it's crazy we both we wanted to create a world outside of where we was at, and that's the only way we could get away, right? So I want to do something for you, Van, because I don't think people understand your work. We want people to appreciate some of the people you've been around, who you got the opportunity to work with, and things like that. So I want to motivate the people that's in the college that's watching right now. Thank you guys for joining the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. I'm gonna click on the movie and tell us about your experience during the movie. Okay, you want to do that?
I will do it, and I'll be candid. I'll give you warts and all.
Okay, for the people, for the women, you guys know this TV show, and some of the men. I know y'all loved it. I did. Oh, tell us about this.
Oh, Dexter. Yeah, I did. I came on at the end of season 1. There was the first AD he couldn't do his last 2-part episode. So I got to do the last 2-parter. And that was the story about the ice truck killer. I don't know if you know that show. Basically, Dexter, he discovers that he has a brother who's also a serial killer.
That was crazy.
That's crazy. You can't make this stuff up, And we discover in his backstory of doing that episode, Dexter had been abandoned and left alone as a child in this container that was filled with blood. And this affected him psychologically and twisted his mind. That's how he became, the murderous.
You got that writing is so in depth that they could take a murderer and then make you feel bad for him because what was happening to him that's a super writer right there, man. You got
the same thing with Silence of the Lambs. I didn't do Silence of the Lambs, but you think about that, and you're riveted every time Anthony Hopkins is on the screen because he's so intelligent and he just draws you in. He's seductive, but he's this murderous killer.
Yeah. I can't wait to eat your brain with some lima beans. Like what
some lima beans and a nice Chianti.
Are you ready? All right, you guys. I'm about to hear it. Listen, you guys. I want you guys to be inspired, so I'm gonna click on another one.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna click on this one. Let us know your experience and how it went down. You guys, y'all ain't gonna believe this one right here. Check this out. Check this out right here. How about this one, man?
Oh, okay. So on this is Night School. On this, the producer. I have a producer friend who was producing the movie with Will Packer. His name is Preston Holmes. I had already done, I'd already done all 5 seasons of Real Husbands of Hollywood with Kevin and, Nellie and, Robin Thicke and Nick Cannon, JB Smoove, all those guys were the main cast members for that show, Real Husbands of Hollywood. So Preston needed first assistant director only to do the drone unit shots. And the drone, a drone, everyone's seen drones. They usually, are provide like a really high, aerial, shot with a camera that's mounted to the drone that goes flying up in the air. So I was only brought in for a week to do the drone shots, but I was able to go to set and see Kevin and to see Tiffany Haddish. And I met Tiffany before we even did Real Husbands of Hollywood, because she was friends with Bob Odenkirk, and Bob Odenkirk, the guy who plays Saul in Better Call Saul, he hired me to do his first movie that he directed. And then after we did that one, then we did a second movie where we went to Chicago and did one called Let's Go to Prison. And after we did Let's Go to Prison, then we were really bonded. And then I did his next movie, Brother Solomon. And then we did a pilot for Adult Swim that never got picked up. And then we did a bunch of commercials that he directed. And then he stopped directing for a while because he was doing so many TV episodes. But I did, 4 shows with Bob Odenkirk, and his wife was an agent, and Tiffany Haddish was going to be represented by Bob's wife, Naomi. But Real Husbands of Hollywood kind of saved my career, because I was in a slump. I was low on money. I'd been working for about 20 years at that point. And thank God Stan Lathan hired me to do this series, Real Husbands of Hollywood. Stan Lathan, who is Sanaa Lathan's father and a legendary director, they got pitched this idea for a parody show based on like the Housewives of Atlanta and those shows. But this was going to be a twist. This was going to be kind of a Black Entourage type show, with actors, musicians, ball players, and looking at like kind of a semi-real version of their real life experiences at parties, and having fun and just clowning. And that show, we did 5 seasons, and that show basically saved my career, because that it got me back out there. I was working, one thing led to another, and this is kind of a word of mouth business. So if people think you can do something in one area of it, they recommend you. If you're fortunate and blessed, you kind of keep getting recommended, and that's how you get the next job.
I got another one for you. This is a cult classic. You hear what I'm saying? A cult classic. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, man, tell them about this one.
All right. Oh my gosh. All right. This is a film that I talk about whenever I really talk about my career in the industry. That scene right there. This is from the movie Kids. And I'd gotten a call from the woman who I'd worked with. She was the art director on one of the first movies I ever worked on. And she said, "Hey, there's this script called Kids, and there's this director named Larry Clark. He's a still photographer. He's got some very provocative books that he's published. You got to read the script." She mailed me the script, or I went on and picked it up or whatever. There was no internet at that time. This is we shot that in the summer of 1995. And this movie also changed my life, because I read this script and it was so realistic and so frightening, honestly, because it was all about all these young kids kind of without a lot of parental supervision, kind of on their own in New York City and Manhattan. And the things that they love to do is skateboard, get high, drink, and have sex. And
Yeah.
these are like 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. And for me it was and it was during, it was just around the AIDS crisis too.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one really quick story about this. So I got hired to do the movie, thank God. And we were out with the director and the writer, and we were taking the cinematographer over to a location that the director wanted to shoot at in Lower Manhattan, Alphabet City. And we got out of the car. We had to show them this location. The writer and the director, they started walking down up the street to get to the location that they were going to shoot at. And we were going to start shooting the following Monday. This was like a Thursday afternoon or something. There was a girl sitting on the stoop next to where we parked the car. And then there was a big lady drinking a 40 ounce sitting next to her. And there was a couple other people, and they were watching this Vibe magazine photo shoot that was taking place right across the street on the corner. Their attention was really focused on that. And the writer, Harmony Korine, I kept looking at this girl, and I had just had this conversation with the casting director right before we left the office to go and look at this location. And she was, tearing her hair out. She was really nervous because they were desperately trying to finish the casting on the movie because we were going to start shooting on Monday, and there had been a bunch of changes with the cast already and stuff, and they were running out of time. And so I'm talking to this, so I see this girl, and Harmony says, "What are you looking at? Are you coming down the street with us?" And he said, I said, "Well, it's something about this girl, and he said, "Well, go talk to her." So, so they continue down the street, up the street to look at the location with the cinematographer to show him the location when they're thinking about shooting. I walk over to the stoop and say, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing?" "Oh, yeah, my name's Van Hayden. We're doing this. We're scouting here on the block for a location we might film at. We're doing a movie. We're prepping a movie right now." And the big woman that was drinking the 40 ounces, "Well, my daughter has always wanted to be in movies. She loves movies. She always talks about movies and stuff." And I said, "Really?" I said, and I see the girl, and beautiful girl, 16 years old. She's, her attention's focused on the Vibe magazine shoot. And then when I said, the thing about the movie thing, she lights up, and we start talking. And about that time, Larry Clark, the director, Harmony Korine, the writer, they're coming back down to get back in the car to go back to the office. I said, "Hey guys, come on over. And I introduced them to the folks on the stoop. We talked to them some more. The girl saying, "Yeah, I really always want to be in movies." And, and I said, "Well, we tell them a little bit about the movie." They said, "Well, come on inside." And the girl shows us the sofa that she sleeps on, and it's like a 1-bedroom. So the big lady was turned out to be her mom. And then there was a guy there with her who's her stepdad, and she points out the sofa that she sleeps on in the living room. And we, a small little apartment in Alphabet City, Lower Manhattan. And we said, "Look, here, these are, the story is about young people dealing with, issues growing up. It deals with sexuality. It deals with alcohol. It deals with drug use, and kind of just growing up in the neighborhood." And she was really excited. The mom was excited. Everyone was really excited. And so, "Well, come over to the office, get a copy of the script." Again, there was no internet at that time, so they physically had to come over to the office, which was, a couple of miles away in Manhattan. And they come over, and by the end, and we said, your mom has to sign off for you to be in the movie because, you're underage and stuff if it works out. And we'll our casting director will, arrange for a meeting with you and stuff. By the end of that day, they'd picked up the script. By 9:00 that night, that's when Rosario Dawson was cast in the movie.
That's dope. Hey,
That was
that's
her first movie.
Wow.
that's dope. Wow, man.
I love Rosario Dawson too.
Yeah, that's crazy. How about this one right here? What is this right here, man?
That's part of Kids too. Oh, Piano Lesson. That's the other
Yeah.
one we did. We shot that movie in June of 2023, and then the strikes hit, and then this movie came out this year. This is the third movie that they've turned into, that Denzel has turned in. He's produced. He did Fences. He did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. These are all three of August Wilson's 10 plays. August
Wow.
Wilson wrote and produced 10 plays, one for each decade of the 1900s. So 1900, 1910, 1920, all the way through the end of the decade. So the Piano Lesson was set in late 30s, mid 30s, and Denzel produced it. His son Malcolm Washington made his directing debut in directing this. Denzel's other son, John David, right there, you see him. He's the lead actor in it, along with Sam Jackson and Danielle Detweiler. She plays the female lead in it, and it was an incredible experience. We shot it down in Atlanta, and I'm very proud of this film. We had an incredible team on this one too, with the cinematographer, and that one right there that's Their Eyes Are Watching God. We shot that in LA on the Disney Ranch, and we shot for about a week down in the swamps of Florida, and that's based on the Zora Neale Hurston novel, Their Eyes Are Watching God. Tea Cake and Tea
I like this one.
That was another career-changing movie too. That was the first big period drama that I was the first assistant director on. When we did, I worked as a production assistant on Malcolm X, but I wasn't, I wasn't the first AD. I was the key PA on that. And
how about this one right here, man? This was one of my favorite movies, man.
Oh yeah, Foolish. Yeah.
Yes, Foolish.
Yeah. Well, this is another one that was, fun to do. Master P, who used to live here in town, he gave Eddie it's a funny story on this. He gave Eddie Griffin $1 million for the screenplay for that movie, Foolish, which is based on Eddie Griffin's real life. And because Eddie Griffin was telling, he was pitching the project to Master P, and Master P had already done I Got the Hookup. He'd already done that one before that about free or bootleg TV subscriptions, satellite subscription. But the thing with that movie, Eddie Griffin didn't have a script. He was just telling him the things about his life. He went home, and within a week or two, he wrote the script for Foolish, and he got the $1 million from Master P, and we went on to make that movie. We did that one in LA. Yeah.
How about this one right here?
The Shy. So I came in season 5.
Yes,
and I hadn't seen the series except for a couple of episodes before I started on it. But I had a friend who had done a movie that named Yolanda Ross, and Yolanda was one of the main characters on that. So that was a really
man,
good.
you know what I used to tell people? Me and you was on the phone talking, and you was like, "Oh man, I said, what you been doing? Oh, I just finished up the new season of the Shy. I've told everybody, my friend in Chicago, he just did the Shy, and they didn't believe me because they didn't know the information. So I kind of leaked it on the accident. I didn't know. I'm telling them, the new season of the Shy. They telling me I'm a liar. So now, hey, listen, y'all see what's going on. I told you first. Yeah, but I was telling everybody, man, my friend is working on season 5 of the Shy, man, and that was dope. I got one more, and then
all right,
I got one more for you.
All right.
Where it go? This one right here. This movie right here is a diamond in the rough right here.
All right. This was a movie that I had done another movie with. There's a director named Eric Bross, and Eric had done a movie that I saw at the LA Film Festival, 20 some years ago now. And I was so impressed with the movie. He'd done a movie called Restaurant. I didn't work on the movie Restaurant. That was already done. But I had a producer friend who did, and he told me about the movie and invited me to see it at the LA Film Festival. The director of that movie had cast Adrian Brody, who's up right now for an Academy Award for the movie The Brutalist. He's got another Academy Award for The Pianist that he'd done, a few years ago. But that was really one of Adrian Brody's very first movies. He'd done Restaurant, and right before they'd done Restaurant, it turns out they'd done another movie together with the same director, Eric Bross, called Ten Benny, where Adrian Brody works as a shoe clerk, in a shoe store, selling women's shoes. And both movies, the Ten Benny movie that preceded Restaurant and Restaurant, I was so impressed with Restaurant because it was Adrian Brody, it was Simon Baker, the white guy from The Mentalist, and he also was in the Sanaa Lathan movie, Something New.
Yeah.
He was in that. But all these guys were really young because that movie was shot like in the mid 1990s, I think 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
And but he also had Adrian Brody was in that movie was dating Lauryn Hill from the Fugees, and then they broke up, and then he started dating Elise Neal, and Elise did Hustle and Flow with us. She played Anthony Anderson's wife, the church lady kind of girl in that. But Eric had this multi-ethnic, multiracial cast, and it really was a cool movie. And the reason I'm talking about that instead of Affairs of the State, because I did this Affairs of the State movie with the same director years later, and it was a movie we shot down in Virginia, and about a young climber in the political world, and but I was really struck by the movie Restaurant because it was this interracial cast, and it dealt with the politics of working at a restaurant. And this another career changer. I want to dance with somebody. Yeah.
I remember you told me about this one right here.
Wow. I'm indebted to the director Casey Lemons for bringing me on this movie.
Let the people know about this one right here.
Yeah, this was great. This was the big Whitney Houston story movie that I did. Now, about 10 years earlier, before this movie, we'd done a movie for Lifetime with Angela Bassett directing, and we had different actors and a much lower budget. We had like $3 million to do the Lifetime version, but this was the big $70 million version. And, I only had 2 weeks to prep this film. Normally I would have like 10 weeks, because what happened was they had a different director on, a different assistant director on. And when Casey Lemons was asked to come on board to direct the movie, she had 3 weeks. And then I was hired in that first week, and I started in the week, where we had 2 weeks left, and was able to help out.
Because I heard a lot about this lady singing. They said her voice was amazing.
Naomi Ackie, who played Whitney in this, she was a gem. She was a gem. She has an amazing voice, and she had the mannerisms down. She really. There were times where you really felt that was Whitney Houston up there.
You want to give them a little taste of that voice? And I am telling you, I am not going. See, you're the best man man. Listen.
She had it. She look at the costumes.
Listen.
The costumes were right on. And the thing was, I was a huge Whitney Houston fan, and I saw her here in St. Paul. We had friends of mine from college, Teresa Tate and Alan Johnson. We kind of stalked Whitney. She was performing over in St. Paul, and we found out that she was staying at the St. Paul Hotel. And we, just waited in the lobby after the concert, and her entourage came in, and I made a point of meeting her cousin, who was one of her backup singers, and we ended up hanging out the next day at the Uptown Art Festival in the Uptown area. And then she brought me when it was time to go back to their hotel. I drove her back to the hotel, and she said, "Well, would you like to meet Whitney?" And I said, "Sure, yes." So, we get on the tour bus, and I had these battery powered, really high pressured, like squirt guns that, I just happened to have in my car because we were doing some squirt gun fights, like a week or two before, and they were in my car. So I took those and I brought them on the bus, and I gave one to her cousin and one to Whitney. And when I met Whitney, she was coming up the aisle from the back of the bus, and I was about in the middle section, and she kind of extended her hand, kind of like this, said, "Hi, I'm Whitney." I said, "Yeah, I know." So that was about 1980. Yeah, that was around 1987 or something
That's
like
dope,
that.
man.
Yeah,
That's amazing, man.
So that's where I really felt honored and privileged to work on 2 movies about her life.
Yeah,
And we did Whitney, and then we did I Want to Dance with Somebody. And thank God, I give God all the glory for Casey hiring me to be her assistant director on that.
So Keenan, can I see on your movie? You guys listen. The list is so long. I was only able to pick a couple of them. You guys, we can't keep them all night.
You picked some of the best ones. You picked some of the best ones. I can't tell you how great Kenan Thompson is to work with. That guy, he can do anything. He can sing. He can dance. He's an amazing guy. But he's just a really good human being. And every time I've ever called him after that show, it's been over. And that was season 1 of his comedy show that was on NBC. He's always taken my call, or he's texted me back or something. And he is a fantastic dude.
That's dope, man. Hey, I want to say thank you for joining. You are the reason why I started this, and I tell Dan this all the time. 'Cause, after COVID, we wasn't able to get a lot of permits, and a lot of things were shut down here in Minnesota. So now I'm able to be able to do my thing. But you said to me, you said you got to create an audience, and the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast on Facebook for Minnesota is we're the #1 live show. Nobody do more numbers than us. We got over 1,300 live people.
That's what the kids do now, right?
They do that. We got over 1,300 live viewers right now watching this right here. And before we cut off, we was at like I think 1,100 people. So I want to say thank you. And I created this. You know what? I did what you said. I created this. So then when I make me a nice little short film, we got an audience to come watch it. You know what I mean? So try to create a fan base here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you've got built-in marketing. You hit those folks on the social media, and they'll show up for your opening weekend.
So I just wanted to bring you out to the people, let people know, like, hey, Minnesota, we got something to be
born
proud
and
of.
raised right here.
We got something to be proud of. Next time I call you, I tell you I got something for you. You're gonna love this one this time. I'm ready for you this time, man.
I'll tell you the truth, no matter what.
Yes, sir. And that's why I love about you too. You ain't gonna sugarcoat it and make me think something. You're gonna tell me, but I know you're gonna love this one. I guarantee it.
Kenan had a question.
I do have a 2-part question. So, one, wow, it just I feel like it's a wealth of knowledge there. So I mean, as I said earlier, I have 7, feature films and podcasts and all that other stuff, but I cannot seem to get to the next level. I talked to Netflix, and they said, "Hey, you have the numbers, but you need star power." Star power costs money. My writing is good and all that stuff. I need to build up my quality, but I also need to broaden who I'm distributed through or whatever. And I just don't know how to that the talk or who to speak to or who to rub elbows with to get to that next level. So that's the first part of my question.
All right, I'll answer that really quickly. Two things: you don't necessarily need money; you need access, though, to the talent. It would be a great idea if you could either somehow create a relationship with, look at, some of the shows that are out there that you like and check out who the casting director is, if you can make a contact with that person. And then if you could sell them on that, or if there's an actor that you can get to, and just if they love the material, you got a shot. You got a shot.
Okay.
And I put my phone number up in the chat there, so if you want to talk more about it, we can do that. And what was part two?
I'll send it to you right now, Keenan.
Man, I just screenshotted it. I ain't letting that go. So the second part is, because it's so difficult for independent films, and I've been blessed to be on platforms, but I know a lot of people that their quality's not good enough or whatever it is. They can't seem to get on because they don't know the right people, can't get onto the right platforms to showcase their talent and their material. So I started my own platform called Breakout TV, right? And it's started, it's up. I got a couple of movies on there that other distributors said that I could put on there of mine. Got some podcasts. I got a wrestling gig thing that's on there.
The Clawmaster, that is other people need to know.
So as a person that does productions and different things like that, if someone gifted you a content platform, what are some of the things that you would do to gather creators to say, hey, come here, and then to push it on out?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. There's a project called Rise Above. We're trying to bring that movie to Minnesota. It's a Native American story. It's based on the life of a Native American woman who was a standout high school and college basketball player. She played in the Pacific Northwest, up in like Seattle, Portland, Idaho. And Jackie McCormick, and there's a script called Rise Above, and it's a story about her playing high school basketball and on her tribal team on the reservation, and they start winning some games, and then it's kind of like a Native American women's Hoosiers kind of movie. So the producer who got me onto that drone unit on Fight Night, or on Night School, his name is Preston Holmes. He's one of the producers on that project. So we got the film board to bring us to Minnesota with those producers, and we went up and we scouted a bunch of locations in the northern part of the state and up in Duluth, where the high school basketball games would be taking place, and we want to shoot on the reservation up there. We met with the tribal council up there, and hopefully we can bring that project here, not this year, but next year. Looks like is when they're going to be able to do that project. And if we do that, it gives us this opportunity then to bring in young folks to work on those movies. Because what we want to really do, my goal is to train the next generation of folks that look like me, and give young people a chance and give them access to working with a professional film crew, so they learn those skills, they learn the craft, and then they can have a 30-year, 35, 40-year career in the industry and make money as they go, raise a family, but have those really good skills. And as we bring more films in, then they're here, they can get into the union, they learn the ropes, and then they eventually become the department heads, and go as far as they can with it. We shot the movie Dear White People here And then they went off and made the series after that. They did that in LA. But the movie that the film is about, we shot that at the U on the campus. The exteriors are set over at the U, and then all of the interiors, with the exception of the white fraternity house, were shot in Loring Park, at the women's club, and that's where. And then we over on Summit Avenue in St. Paul. That's where we had the exterior for the white fraternity house, a location there. But that movie was made right here, Justin Simeon.
Marie, are you still on here with us, Marie?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, could you catch this comment? This right here is for Van.
Oh,
Okay. This is
that's from
Sis
Sis Lola. I'm originally from LA and moved to Minnesota. I wasn't aware that there was a film scene here. There is, and we're expanding it right now. We've got currently $70 million in transferable tax credits to bring films and TV series here. And we now have a state film office that's up and running. There's a new director position, that's deputy director position, that's up to be filled in the next month or so. So I'm grateful for all the knowledge that you've shared and advice on how to begin. Yes. Stay in touch with DeMarcus, and he can get you in touch with me. I'm always open to taking calls and answering questions, because I feel that's part of my responsibility to give back. So
yeah, for sure. And I would definitely whenever you need, just reach out to me and let me know what's going on, and I definitely make sure Van to get it. Hey, let's talk about that real quick, because shout out to Ann Pritchard. Ann Pritchard, look what I just posted on the screen. Shout out to Ann Pritchard. We shot a pilot, and Ann Pritchard was one of the actors on this pilot.
Yes.
This is when I had my bug right here. I met Van. You couldn't tell me nothing. I knew I was gonna be the next Minnesota Spike. You couldn't tell me nothing. Then COVID hit. But shout out to Ann Pritchard. Ann Pritchard, look at this. This is us, man.
There she is.
Ann Pritchard been with us, been riding with me ever since then. So I really appreciate her. We went down there and
these good people.
For Christina. Shout out to Christina. I hope she's doing well. But we got another person on the panel, and I know we can't have you for too long, Van. So I just want to say, hey, anybody on the panel, if you guys have anything you guys want to ask, you might want to do it right now, because I don't know how long he's gonna stay. So unmute your mics. Is there anything you want to say? Okay. Don't be nervous. Unmute your mic. Wallace.
Well, I'll respond to what Wallace put in the chat.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know how far Bristol is from Nashville, but hey, man, we got scripts. I have cast. I got all types of, locations already, because I've been doing this for a while. I have distribution that I'm working with. Let's pair here, down here too. And so, lately I've been filming in different locations. So I filmed in, Detroit, Vegas, Baltimore, and a few other places, Atlanta, and in Tennessee, and a few places like that. I would love to get something together. We can film in Bristol, Nashville, and come up to Minnesota, because it's good to have different locations in your film. Even if we say, oh, we coming up here for a business trip and shake hands and pass a briefcase, So hey, I see you said you got a lot of stuff down there in Bristol, man. Let's work.
Yo, shout out to Ann Pritchard too. Yeah, we're gonna work. Oh yeah, Van. My cousin is coming up here too. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to you, Van. I got something for you. I know you're gonna love it, and please tell me the truth. I know you're gonna love it though. I'm guaranteed.
All right.
Time.
And Ann wants us to know about Joy of Horses. That's a project she was a producer on.
Shout out to Ann Pritchard on this one. She produced this film with a young lady, and her mother, Siri. What's her name? Jocelyn. Jocelyn was is an actor, a young Minnesota actor that been nominated for a lot of awards and won some awards. I wrote an anti-bullying movie in 2018. We were gonna shoot that before the COVID hit, and it got canceled, but I still got the movie. So I want to say thank you to Ann Pritchard for talking about the Joy of Horses. This film, This film is nominated for a couple awards, ain't it, Ann? Yeah. So this film, and shout out to Justin. Shout out to Justin too. So yeah, please, you guys support Minnesota actors, Minnesota directors, and things like that. Ann Pritchard put in work on this one right here. So yeah, thank you, Ann. I'm sorry, I almost forgot about that one. Wow. Yeah. Please, you guys got to watch this film. It's a film that they really put in some work for this. Shout out to Jocelyn and her mother and her sisters. I went over there. I met them and we sat down at 8. And I had to read the script. We had the whole thing ready and COVID killed it. But I still got the script, so we're gonna go in. We're doing it. We're doing it by ourselves this year. So thank you. But Van, before you leave, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that Minnesota credit for the films, right?
Yep.
A shout out to Melody for the Minnesota TV and Film Board. She loved me to death.
Yep, Melody Bayhan. She's going to be leaving the board. She's looking for her replacement right now.
Oh wow!
But she's done a great job in getting the board set up. You know, see, there used to be the film board. That's what we all came out of. I was one of the co-chairs along with Tacey Mangan, and we were the co-chairs. And Will's last name is slipping my mind, but we were all on the film board together, and then Melody went off to set up the new film office, the state film office. So now, if you go to the state website where they post the job openings and stuff, there's a job description there. So that position's open right now. So if any of you want to be a film commissioner or have any experience in locations or working with film commissions, that position is open right now.
I think I'm gonna reach out to her.
Yeah.
It was amazing how I met Melody. I was so I shout out to Dan too. I met Dan. Dan made a movie called Hiding Victoria. And he was my mentor when I started writing. Hey Van, I came to this man and told him I was a writer, and he told me to go to your house and go give me what you got. Man, I brought this man 300 pieces of paper. He told me, he said, "What is this? Take this back and put it on the computer." So I went home and I had to go buy a computer, buy the software, and I brought it back to him. He's been mentoring me ever since. Then I was so happy that Dan liked it, what I did. I called up to the Minnesota TV and Film Board and was like, "Yeah, man, I speak with whoever's in charge." And they put Melody on the phone. And I'm like, "How you doing, Melody? I know you don't know who I am up the Marcus. She said, "Why don't you come and see me tomorrow?" I couldn't believe it. I came up there. We had a big meeting, and it's been love ever since, man. So listen, you guys, if you got a passion, you got to chase it. It's not going to come easy.
And DeMarcus, didn't you come to our breakfast we had at Landmark Center? Yeah, that's where we first met. I think
I came to the breakfast.
Center.
Yeah. I came first. No, I met you
the library.
At the library. I met you first at the library, and then I met you again. And and
then we went and had lunch in St. Paul.
Yes, sir. And I was so happy, man.
Soul food lunch.
I still got everything, and I remember everything you told me, and that's why I really wanted you on this podcast to let you know what you've done for me. Basically filming and just being in the entertainment, because I was doing comedy skits first. It really saved me, man. A lot of my friends ain't here no more. I had over 7 friends commit suicide. I got friends that don't get out of jail until 2078. We'll probably never see them again. And I went this way with filming, and they did it. You know what I mean? So once they see that I'm doing out here with the filming and the podcasting, it makes me feel good. And I just want people to know, even if you ain't got people following you, if people don't believe in you, just keep doing it, man. Just keep doing it, keep making it, keep practicing. If you give up, it ain't gonna never work. If you gotta keep working.
And make sure it's authentic.
Yeah,
that is the most important thing. If your story is authentic and it touches you, and when you see a movie, you know when a story doesn't sound realistic or it seems fake or that would never happen. Write what is authentic and has heart that people are going to relate to, and because you're really, when you write those personal stories, you'd be surprised how many other people have similar experiences that get what you're saying and what you're communicating.
Close a lot of gaps like that. You close a lot of gaps you touch a lot of people, man, and
That's a lot of people.
man, these stories and stuff like this, it always, I'm telling you guys, I know Van said some things that people understand and like, yo, I'm just gonna do it. Just do it. But Keenan, everything that you put in the back chat is private, so they can't see it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy all this stuff for you and paste it in the Facebook chat for they can get your information. So don't worry,
Okay, okay.
I got
Yeah,
your back.
look, I'm posting like, because I'm listening to what,
I got
Mr. Hayden is saying about the authentic stories, and I
for
have my
sure.
own, my story,
Yes, sir.
especially growing up and how God took me from where I was to where I am now. So I did a film about a little bit of that. And I'm a great storyteller. I read a lot. Walter Dean Myers' book, Monster, is how I learned how to write scripts.
Hmm.
So, I'm just like listening to this, man. I'm like, man, I need to like figure out how to be the next him. you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Better, Keenan. Better yet, be the next Keenan. Be the
That's
next
right.
you.
That's right.
Facts.
That's right.
You're one of those films that you did. I saw the cover of it. I didn't see the movie, but it reminds me much of the War Room, and the War
Right.
Room did really
Yes.
well.
Yes, it did.
That's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the and just, I mean, not to, whatever, but I mean, I spent probably, man, $5,000 making my movie.
Yep.
And it's like made way more. And just, I feel like my first deal was not great, but it put me out there and it gave me
There it
that
is.
bug.
That's
So
exactly right. And that's how Will Packer and Rob Hardy, that's how those guys did it. That's how
mhm.
Barry Jenkins did it. Barry, Barry did a movie before he did Moonlight. He did a small movie called Medicine for Melancholy, and he had we helped him get a job on that film that you saw with Halle Berry on the cover, that Their Eyes Are Watching God.
Yeah.
When we were in pre-production on that movie, I got a phone call from another costume designer, not Ruth, but a woman named Aggie Rogers. And Aggie called me up. We had done a movie called The Assassination of Richard Nixon up in the Bay Area in San Francisco. We had done a movie like a year earlier, and she called me up. She was really frustrated, and Aggie is very direct and very, very tough. And she said, "Van, can you get my kid and his buddy a job? They're just laying on my couch watching TV all day." And I said, "Well, we're just starting to prep this movie. Their eyes are watching God." And our director, her name is Darnell Martin. She needs an assistant, not an assistant director. That's a different position, but she needs a personal assistant to do errands, to get stuff for her throughout the day and stuff that she can't deal with when she's directing. And so Aggie gives me the young guy's contact information. We talk, and he sounds really sincere. He sounds great. I said, okay, well, I'll bring you in and introduce you to her if she's open to meeting with you. And she said, sure, yeah, bring him in. So the guy comes in. She hires him to be her assistant. He does a great job. He's on the whole show. He picks her up in the morning, drives her to the set, drives her back at the end of the day. He did a great job, had a great personality. He was able to convince the cinematographer to bring his buddy on, who is Aggie's son, Aggie Rogers' son.
Wow.
And he got a job as a camera PA because they both had gone to film school in Florida. And they finished the movie, and that guy was Barry Jenkins.
Oh wow!
So Barry Jenkins, the guy who did Medicine for Melancholy about 2 years later, then he did Moonlight and won the Academy Award. Now he's just done, he did the Beale Street. If Beale Street could talk.
He was just laying around on the couch at first.
He was laying around on his buddy's couch.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
So these conversations that we're having right now, they really can lead to something if you have the motivation, if you're willing to put in the energy and just stick with it and really keep building your craft. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of if you don't know how to write, get a book. There's a bunch of books out there. A great screenplay book called Screenplay, by Sid Field. It's a paperback book. You can get it online, or you can get it at almost any bookstore. It's a great guide, and you start with that and go from there.
Hey, you know what book Dan gave me? It was like, you got to go study this. I'm telling you, it's gonna turn you into a great writer. He gave me the Karate Kid, right? He said, yo, read this. And it's
wax on, wax off.
Yeah, he was like, read
in the fence, on the floor.
He said, it got so much in there. Trust me, you're gonna understand after you get done reading the script. I read the script and I understood what he was talking about. You know what I mean? It's a young, shy kid. You know what I mean? He didn't have no personality. You know what I mean? He ended up gaining and earning that personality. So I got it. I understood it. So when I called him, I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying. So mine was the Karate Kid. So shout out to Dan.
A lot of us nerds, Karate Kid. We love the Karate Kid. We had our own movie.
Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy.
What was it? What was it? The Last Dragon. Come on, man.
The Last Dragon. I saw that movie at the Skyway Theater on Hennepin Avenue about 6 times.
I met Wyclef Jean on the set of Nashville, and he told me he was one of the kids in The Last Dragon dancing and doing flips and stuff.
Wow.
Really?
That's crazy.
So when you reach that final level, your mind, body, and soul must be one. It's a sacrifice. Takes hard work.
That was my favorite movie right there. Whatever happened to those type of genres? Like, they don't make
we need to make more.
We have the opportunity.
The era is kind of different because back then that big tough bully and then the little small scrawny kid that come back and win, that kind of gone. But that's a new era that we could probably figure something out, man. Because them movies used to be the stuff.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah.
Well, Van, I know we had you for a long time. I really appreciate you for coming and joining. Before I let you go, is there anything you want to tell everybody? Is there you want them to go see you anywhere?
I would say 2 things. I'd say, 1, you have to find something that's going to keep you going when you're feeling down, because there are going to be times when you're going to be low. No one's going to believe in you. Your best friend, your partner, your yard dog, your running buddy, your cut buddy, they're gonna stab you in the back, maybe, and you're gonna feel down. So you've got to find faith. You gotta put your faith out there, and you gotta have something that's gonna keep you going when things go against you. I would say that, and then do everything you can. Do your homework. If there's a movie, if there's a kind of movie that you want to tell, find another movie that you like that's in the same kind of style, and research the people who made those movies. The credits are available, and see what else they've done. And, for example, my all-time favorite director is Sidney Lumet. He did a movie called 12 Angry Men. That was his first movie. He made it in the 50s. It's 12 guys in a jury room, weighing the outcome of they're deciding the fate of a young Puerto Rican kid who's up for a murder charge. And it's a great movie. And there's no special effects. There's no big anything. It's just great writing with great characters. And they all of their prejudices and all of their anger and all of their passion is on that screen, and it's just compelling. So really develop the writing and the storytelling qualities. Find find people that you can partner with, and then go out and take the risk, leap out.
Word, man. Thank you so much. You working on anything? Or you got some time off? What you doing?
Got a little bit of time off. There's might work on a film this summer called Swimmobile. A brother named Karamu Kush wrote it and is going to direct it. He grew up in Detroit in the 80s. They used to have these converted dumpsters that they would bring into the neighborhoods where the kids couldn't get out to the lakes and stuff. So they bring them into the urban neighborhoods, fill them up with water from a fire hydrant, and they would be like these mobile swimming pools. So talking about shooting that movie this summer in Buffalo and in Detroit. And then that would be out the following summer. So keep an eye out for Swimmobile.
Swimmobile?
If you're ever in Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, anywhere like that, man, even if you're in Minnesota, let me know. I would love to get you to do something, even
We'll do it.
You want to do.
Yo, man, I want to invite you to a thing that we're having March 1st. If you want to come on by, come on join. We're gonna have some vendors out there, beautiful conversation, and I think you would be perfect for this conversation. Shout out to Felicia, you guys. So everybody watching this right now, if you guys don't have nothing to do, man, please come out and support. This is a local thing, man, and I'll be sending this to you too, man. So don't worry about it. Ann Pritchard, I would love to see you. Lola, I would love to see you guys out there. March 1st at 1 p.m. to 5. It's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be dope. So shout out to Felicia. I wish I could bring her on here. She's not on here tonight, but yeah.
All right.
Information. All right. I see you guys later.
Guys. This was
Okay,
great.
all right, you guys. Thank you guys for joining the Minnesota Pro Talk podcast. We really appreciate you guys. We out.